When I was trying to tell these guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get. When certain stuff just don't weigh up, it's a mandatory 1-year sentence when you just get $5 worth of stuff.
Fetty Wap walked out of federal custody on January 8th, 2026, after serving just 3 years of a 6-year sentence tied to drug-related charges. The early release had people talking fast, with speculation flying everywhere, but official records point to time credits and clean conduct as the reason. Now, fresh footage has people watching his next move closely, and the timeline around his release has everyone locked in. Government records list him as Willie Jr. Maxwell II, and his original release wasn't supposed to hit until 2029.
What seems like damn near just a couple of years ago, because it was, holy smokes, we seen 4 letters pop up. This one, home. That's from his official page. Then he goes on to write this: I want to thank my family, friends, and fans for the love, prayers, and continued support. It truly means everything to me. Right now,
thanks to federal credits, he was moved into community confinement in January 2026, meaning strict home-based supervision. He's now on supervised release until November 2030, with federal eyes on him non-stop. The conditions are tight and serious. Regular check-ins, testing, spending limits, travel restrictions, and possible monitoring all apply. Every move is tracked, every rule matters, and one slip can send him right back into custody fast. It's freedom.
My focus is on giving back through my community initiatives and foundation, supporting at-risk young children by expanding access to education, early tech skills, and vision care for young kids and students so they can show up as their best selves. I'm committed to moving forward with purpose and making a meaningful impact where it matters most.
But with heavy strings attached. The moment he got home, he posted "home" on his IG story and followed it up with a statement. By the afternoon of January 8th, clips flooded the internet showing Fetty getting a big welcome back. Family, day ones, and supporters all pulled up in Jersey, deep and proud. The most viral video showed a huge crowd giving him a full-on standing ovation. People clapping, cheering, yelling 1,738 like it was 2015 again. It was pure celebration energy, no tension at all. Just real support for someone who had been away for a while and finally made it back. To understand this moment, you gotta look at the bigger picture. Fetty's journey didn't start in 2026. His path from platinum-selling artist to federal custody unfolded over years, shaped by choices and circumstances along the way. Back in October 2021, everything changed in New York City.
He was arrested yesterday at Citi Field. It was during a music festival in the afternoon before he performed. He's one of 6 indicted for conspiracy to distribute more than 100 kilograms of controlled substances on Long Island and in New Jersey. And those arrested also include a New Jersey correction officer. Officials say Fetty Wap and others involved transported, distributed deadly and addictive drugs, including heroin and fentanyl on Long Island, deliberately contributing to the opioid epidemic.
The timing was heavy. He was set to appear at Rolling Loud NYC, one of the biggest hip-hop festivals anywhere. Thousands of fans were waiting. But instead, federal authorities stepped in alongside others tied to the same case, shifting his story overnight. The very public arrest sent a loud message. Federal authorities clearly wanted visibility, showing the hip-hop world what happens when fame collides with serious legal trouble. It wasn't subtle, and it definitely wasn't quiet.
The multi-million-dollar drug distribution used Suffolk County as their home base. We're told the defendants would get drugs on the West Coast and use the U.S. Postal Service and drivers with hidden compartments to transport the drugs across the country to Suffolk County, where they were stored. Fetty Wap's role, according to officials, a kilogram-level redistributor for the trafficking organization.
Prosecutors described his case as part of a large coast-to-coast operation tied to illegal distribution activities between California and the East Coast during 2019 and 2020. Officials said the investigation took months and was carefully planned, not some random stop or surprise move. During the case, authorities reported recovering large amounts of cash and materials connected to the operation, pointing to something highly organized and far from small-time activity.
Fetty Wap didn't get picked up by the police. He got picked up by the feds. And when the feds show up, that means the case been done for a minute. And that wasn't no traffic stop, wasn't no random raid. That was a long play. They had the phones tapped, they had people talking, they had routes mapped, they had numbers counted.
Fetty Wap was initially released while awaiting trial, but that changed in August 2022 when officials revoked his release due to alleged violations of strict supervision rules, adding even more pressure to an already serious situation. Reports claimed that during a video call, his behavior crossed serious legal lines. Prosecutors said the interaction included intimidating gestures and language aimed at someone he believed had shared information with authorities. That kind of conduct is a fast way to lose release privileges. Judges take it seriously because it suggests disregard for court rules and public safety concerns.
Because he was released after serving 3 years of a 6-year sentence. And I received the first statement that he sent out to the media. So he says, I want to thank my family, friends, and fans for the love, prayers, and continued support. It truly means everything to me right now. My focus is on giving back to my community, initiatives in my foundation, supporting at-risk youth children by expanding access to education, early tech schools, and vision care for young kids and students so they can show up as their best selves. I'm committed to.
By August 2022, he chose to accept responsibility for one federal conspiracy charge involving controlled substances tied to a specific quantity threshold. That charge came with a strict minimum sentence, making the decision a calculated legal move rather than an emotional one. At the time, cases involving certain synthetic substances were being treated with extreme seriousness in federal court. Due to a nationwide public health crisis, judges and prosecutors adopted a zero-tolerance posture, making negotiations far more difficult.
But the judges stopped playing, the deals get ugly, and time starts stacking. And Fetty Wap knew what time it was. Before the jury ever heard shit, he pled guilty. That ain't a flex, that's straight up calculation. That's knowing the evidence ugly and trying to limit the damage. The feds don't bluff when it comes to that F-ball either.
Defense teams knew that pushing a case to trial under those conditions could backfire badly. With extensive records, communications, and cooperating testimony reportedly in play, the odds were stacked. Accepting responsibility offered a chance to limit exposure and avoid a much harsher outcome. Sentencing was finalized on May 24, 2023 in Central Islip, New York, closing a critical chapter in the case. A judge handed him a 6-year federal sentence, followed by 5 years of supervised release. Since he had already been in custody since August 2022, that time counted toward the total. During sentencing, prosecutors even pointed to lyrics from his music to argue long-term involvement. But the court also weighed his remorse and family responsibilities before locking in the final number.
He got out because federal math kicked in. Time served, good time, BOP credits, that's how the Fed time worked. Now he's home. But the argument is just starting. Some people are saying, shit, he paid his debt, let him live. Others said, nah, hold on. We need to dig a little bit deeper on here.
He served his time at FCY Sandstone in Minnesota from August 2022 until January 2026, totaling about 3 years and 5 months. The federal system allows sentence reductions, and he qualified through good conduct and approved programs under the First Step Act. His original release was projected around 2029, then shifted to late 2026, before finally landing in January 2026.
In prison for?
So he was in prison for his role in a alleged, like, I guess I don't have to say alleged because he was convicted.
Trafficking cocaine,
it was
heroin,
a drug,
fentanyl, crack
a drug
cocaine.
ring.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when he was busted way back when, it was some years ago, he was locked up with over 500 grams or more of cocaine and thousands of dollars in cash.
The Bureau of Prisons uses a credit formula, including annual good conduct credits and program participation, to reduce time served. His legal team made one thing clear from the start. His plea stood alone. No cooperation, no testimony, no special assistance filings, just a strategic legal decision and earned time credits closing out the sentence. Fetty Wap is now in home confinement in New Jersey, supervised through the Bureau of Prisons Philadelphia Reentry Office. His full release is projected for November 8th.
Now, we was in the shop talking about the Fetty Wap case out of New Jersey. If 5 men's on that case outside of him a conspiracy, he already had a domestic violence and a DV. Now, it was 220 grams of H and 10 pounds of fent, and also deceit. And this man got a sentence of 6 years. That's highly unlikely for a man to get that much less time for that amount of illegal substance in the federal system unless he's working.
2026. But
That's
until then,
impossible.
the rules are tight. He's under constant oversight, including random testing, full financial transparency, and strict limits on travel and daily activity. As soon as word spread about his early release, speculation exploded online. People started questioning everything, wondering if the reduced time meant cooperation. That kind of talk spreads fast in hip-hop culture, especially when sentences get shortened.
So the court decided to let him go a bit early, which is a good sign because that means that he's been doing well while he was locked up and showed the court that. But now that he's out, he will have like strict guidelines because that was a part of his sentencing too for the next 5 years. So drug testing, he can't open bank accounts without approval from the feds. He also has to keep probation in the loop of like his earnings and his tax information.
Even when nothing official backs it up, the snitch label carries serious weight in rap circles and can wreck reputations fast. But a guilty plea doesn't automatically mean cooperation. Many people plead guilty simply because the evidence is overwhelming.
When I was trying to tell these guys that you got to be in the system to realize the sentence you get when certain stuff just don't weigh up. It's a mandatory 1 year sentence when you just get $5 worth of stuff. So you get anything over 5 grams is a mandatory 5 year sentence in the federal system. So how do a person get 5 years, 6 years when it's mandatory 5 years for 5 grams? It's impossible.
Not because they gave up anyone else. At a certain point, fighting a federal case just doesn't make sense. Back in 2022, Fetty Wap's attorney said it straight up. He was not cooperating, not sharing info, and not helping prosecutors in any way. The plea stood on its own. He accepted responsibility for a specific charge, didn't testify against anyone else, and didn't receive any special consideration tied to cooperation.
His music went quiet. It went straight up. Nobody was listening to that shit no more. The hit stopped, the buzz dried up, the sound moved on. But by the time he touched the cell, Fetty wasn't even competing with no new rappers. His ass was already done. So really, he's competing with his own self. So prison don't pause your music career like we always see. It does erase a little bit of momentum, but the algorithm don't care about your case, playlists don't care about your struggle, and nostalgia only goes so far.
The 6 year sentence backs that up. In real cooperation cases, sentences usually drop way below the minimum. Here, the mandatory minimum was 5 years, and he got 6. Pretty standard. That 1 year bump signals routine sentencing, not secret deals or behind the scenes favors. Once he got out early, social media lit up with questions. But the answer is simple. Federal time credits, good conduct, program participation, and First Step Act credits apply to thousands of inmates every year.
Listen, man, shout out to Fetty Wap, bro. Shout out to him. You know, me personally on the music tip, I don't necessarily think it's over, but I think if he tries to go back and recreate that sound, I think that's going to be gone. He can add elements of that shit, but the question is, who's going to embrace him? Who is good enough in the rap game to embrace him? Because if I'm Drake, Iceman ain't came out yet. Get Fetty Wap on the hook on the beginning song. Fetty Wap, you know what to do. First Day Out the Feds, Part 2.
They reward structure and progress, not cooperation. One viral thread broke it down clean. It said pleading guilty to protect yourself isn't the same as turning on others. That's strategy, not betrayal. No new facts have surfaced to support any cooperation claims, and suspicion alone doesn't prove anything. Court records back this up. There are no cooperation agreements, no special filings, and no motions showing he helped prosecutors.
No alcohol or drugs, of course, unless prescribed. And the court can even make it where like he has to do like an outpatient like drug program and then continue testing just because they're trying to make sure he's gonna stay focused. Like a halfway house. Not even really like a halfway house, just more of like a check-in. Like where he has to continually get tested.
Co-defendant cases move forward without any impact tied to his actions. What's documented is simple: a guilty plea and standard sentencing. Paranoia might travel fast online, but it isn't evidence. The real facts show Fetty Wap accepted responsibility, served most of his sentence, earned regular time credits, and qualified for early release through normal federal programs. That happens all the time in the system.
Yeah, it'll just be a program that he'll have to go to whenever they
I can't wait to see him have one.
Some people argued 6 years sounded light, but that ignores how sentencing really works. Judges weigh multiple factors: history, role, responsibility, and proven amounts. His personal charge was tied to 500 grams of cocaine, and sentencing focused only on his individual actions, not the full scope of the larger organization.
We don't give a damn about your personal life, bro. We don't. We don't. We care about a time in our personal life when your music hit for us and created a moment, and then we listen to it and now we get nostalgic about it. We care about growth in your music. We don't give a shit about you, the person. You don't give a shit about us. You care about providing what the fans or people who support your music like, and the fans and supporters care about the music. That's the problem with these entertainers, because not one point in time do y'all sit up here and really give back. Hell no, y'all don't. Y'all get sponsors, y'all get people to help out. Not saying that you should spend your own cash.
That's where a lot of the confusion comes from. The 5-year mandatory minimum applied directly to his case, and the judge gave him 6 years, just 1 year above the baseline, which is completely normal in federal court. That extra year likely reflected guideline factors like role and circumstances, not anything unusual. In real cooperation cases, sentences often drop way below the minimum, sometimes just a couple years or even time served. 6 years clearly points to standard sentencing, not special treatment.
Moving forward with purpose and making a meaningful impact where it matters most. Yeah, that looks good too. He does. Right. I also saw a video of him at his label, and they were like excited for him to, be there as well too. Yeah, I forgot it was the Jennifer Hudson show. You know, the long. They had the tunnel. I was like, damn, they had a tunnel for first day out. Jennifer Hudson show. Right.
I forgot what he was even.
Online speculation keeps recycling the same claims, but repetition doesn't equal truth. Court records show no cooperation motions, no testimony, and no impact on co-defendants' cases. His lawyer denied cooperation, and the paperwork backs that up. What stands out now is his focus moving forward. His public message centered on family, work, and positive direction. Since his return on January 7, 2026, there have been no credible reports of threats toward him. Searches only point back to a 2022 incident involving his own conduct, which played a role in losing release privileges back then. That situation is old news and doesn't reflect anything happening now. There were past tensions years ago in his hometown of Paterson, New Jersey, tied to local rivalries and personal conflicts that existed long before his federal case. Those situations were serious at the time, but they're dated. People's lives changed, priorities shifted, and those disputes appear inactive today. There have also been business-related disagreements, including a lawsuit over music royalties with a former collaborator. That kind of conflict usually stays in the legal system, not real-life drama. Family issues surfaced quickly after his release. The mothers of his children publicly criticized him online over parenting and financial responsibilities. The words were sharp and emotional, but this was about accountability, not personal safety. If real threats were out there, they'd almost certainly show up online. Platforms like X and Instagram usually expose tension early, but searches only turn up celebration clips, family disagreements, and general criticism, nothing pointing to actual danger. Major outlets kept things straightforward too. Coverage from TMZ and the New York Post focused on release details, supervision terms, and future plans. There was no mention of security concerns or protective measures. If credible risks existed, those reports would have reflected it. The welcome home footage says a lot. Large crowds, open celebrations, and public appearances don't line up with someone worried about immediate safety. His team clearly felt comfortable being visible, which suggests no active concerns. Many online voices framed his release as a moment of respect, not conflict. People pointed out that he handled his time quietly, avoided drama, and didn't escalate situations. To understand what comes next, you have to look at where his career already was. Fetty Wap's legal issues didn't hit at his peak. They happened after his music run had clearly slowed. Back in 2015, he was everywhere. Trap Queen took over the charts. peaking near the top of Billboard and shaping a whole melodic wave in hip-hop. He followed it with multiple hits, major awards attention, and a platinum debut album. But that momentum didn't last. The sound he helped popularize became oversaturated, and the industry moved fast. New artists copied the style, trends shifted, and Fetty Wap didn't adapt quickly enough to stay frontline relevant. By the time 2021 rolled around, his releases weren't hitting the same, and public attention had faded. Personal challenges added more pressure. He went through serious family hardship, which affected focus and creativity. At the same time, the pandemic shut down touring, cutting off a major income source for artists. Streaming alone wasn't enough to fill that gap. All of this points to one clear reality. There is a path forward, but it won't look like the past. Fetty Wap can't recreate the moment that made him famous. That era is gone. What he can do is evolve, blending pieces of his signature sound into something new. The real question is, who's willing to work with him? Will producers take the risk? Will artists collaborate? Will labels see value or hesitation? His legal history adds complexity. Some people in the industry stay cautious, while others respect that he faced consequences and came out focused. Still, the music business is cold. Fans don't support stories. They support songs they actually enjoy. Nostalgia will bring attention at first. Curiosity alone guarantees people will click, but staying power depends on delivering music that connects again. That's the real test. On top of that, supervision rules add extra hurdles. Travel, studio sessions, and business moves all need approval, making everything slower and more complicated. It's not impossible, but it's not easy. So the question remains, can he adapt and deliver music people want to hear now? That's the chapter still being written. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this video. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I'll see you on the next one.